So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I wanted to share my cynical thoughts on why Olivia Jade Giannulli was on Red Table Talk recently. So, who am I? I am Earthling 64 yada yada yada. I have some military experience. I gained 85 pounds and lost it over the course of many years. I quit smoking, I started exercising, got my body toned. I traveled around the world, not my first choice, but then I did. And I got an education, and now I take care of my uncle who has dementia. But I also learned Korean and mathematics. Right, so that's me. Now, on to Olivia Jade Giannulli. Now, I just looked her up because I figured, hey, let me look her up. And I have a change of thought based on stuff that I remember. Anyway, Olivia Jade Giannulli, the daughter of Aunt Becky from Full House. Apparently, she went on Red Table Talk. She talks about the fact that her parents have been in jail for, I think it's a couple of months, or at least a month. In the case of both of them, maybe her dad just went into jail recently for 9 months. Her mom is maybe 1 month in, going to be out in 1 additional month. Anyway. I was pretty cynical when I thought about why she might be on Red Table Talk at this particular time. I was just basically thinking that, hey, she's probably running out of money. Because when you lose all of these different sponsors, that's a lot of money that's not in your pocket anymore. When your parents, for example, are fighting the case, they didn't plead guilty until relatively recently, whereas the other famous actress who was involved, she pled guilty almost immediately, and her stuff is done. I mean, I think she's already been cast in a show recently, the lady from Desperate Housewives. But I remember when Gwyneth Paltrow was doing an interview a good while ago, before the Marvel movies, and I remember people were asking her, the interviewer was asking her, like, well, how did you decide to be in this movie, or come back to acting? Maybe it's been a little while since you've acted. And she said, well, to be honest, I was running out of money. I thought that was a good answer. That was an honest answer. That was I think it was pretty cool of her. It's something that I would do in a given situation. And I also remember a time when Method Man, I think, it might have been actually Redman. I don't listen to these rappers, but I think I know their names. And he said something similar that, I was running out of money, so I figured I would go and do a movie with his co-conspirator, as they say, Method Man, and they did a movie. So that's really what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, it's been, as far as I see, something like more than a year that she has been off of YouTube. And as she said in that YouTube video from more than a year ago, that she really wanted to get back into YouTube, and she was legally bound, meaning it wasn't in her best interest to say anything at all, since she was listening to her family's lawyers. And I was just like, okay, your parents are in prison. They put out quite a lot of money, but admittedly more than a year ago, to get you into school. That said, your mother is not working anymore. I don't know what your dad's company is like. So maybe this is just a hey, we might have to sell the house or end up doing some crazy stuff. Now, before any of that happens, let me take the bull by the horns and try to get my life jump started, restarted, and, make some money so that we aren't in the hole. And I really thought that that is what I was going to go with. On another side, I saw what the people on The View were saying, because when I looked at her responses on Red Table Talk, at the end of it, I felt, okay, I am not completely conversant with all of the details of the case. I was recognizing some of the things that I didn't really think about or was not fully aware of when people from that television show, talk show, The View, were talking about it. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, that's some interesting other stuff. Basically, the idea was that they were contesting the fact that she seemed to be presenting that she did not know or she was not aware of the full extent of what was happening. And one of the women on The View, she was basically saying, hey, it's clearly on your acceptance letter that you were accepted to the school as an athlete. And you also are in pictures of you on a rowing machine, supposedly to support the fact that you are an athlete that's going to be on the university's rowing team. So you were there, you posed for these pictures. You didn't know why these pictures were being taken and added to your application. You didn't see your acceptance letter to know why you were being accepted to the school. So, between those two things and probably more, I was like, okay, yeah, that doesn't seem plausible that you really have no culpability in this thing. Whereas just by looking at the Red Table Talk, I was just like, okay, she was led astray to a degree by maybe her parents. They kept the wool over her eyes. Maybe by this person who, created this thing. Basically, the guy who was responsible for getting people all of these false scholarships. And okay, so now you visited a place in Watts, an after school program in Watts, like you said, and you saw these kids and you've gained an awareness, like you realize that previously you were thinking, hey, this is not a big deal, this is just what people do. And now you realize, whoa, I'm in such a position of privilege, And that's, I guess most people are not going to be like me and go look at a clip of The View. So they're probably, going to keep their opinion, because Red Table Talk is undoubtedly going to get millions of views. And it's all going to go a long way, especially with, the people on The View. I think she handled herself very well on not on The View, on Red Table Talk. So with Gami, Adrian being so vehemently against her being on the show, and then apparently, to an extent at least, being won over by her on Red Table Talk, the good wishes of Red Table Talk would go a long way in terms of making her look better in the public eye and giving her back some of the sponsorship deals and other forms of income that she might be able to get, like, from YouTube, even going back to YouTube, and being able to, as she said, hopefully learn from the mistake and move on with her life. The thing is, though, that when I went to her YouTube channel to see the last videos that she had up there, I realized, whoa, she gets consistently close to 1 million or more views per YouTube video that she has put up, that she was friends with David Dobrik, one of the biggest YouTubers on YouTube, and I was reminded that she had her own cosmetics line. She was asked because she was asked by David Dobrik a number of questions, such as who would you rather be in terms of would you want your mother's career or your father's career? And she was like, my father's. So that doesn't really sound like Dad is doing too poorly in terms of business. So yeah, Dad's business is probably running just fine. People who buy whatever it is that he makes, I think he's a fashion designer, they're probably not going to be too concerned about what is happening to him. As a matter of fact, he might get some notoriety for that, some increased fame because of that, because I don't know him at all. And I was like, no, Adrian, as in Jada Pinkett Smith's mother, was probably very right when she said that Olivia Jade is going to be just fine. And not even really anything financial, no financial issues whatsoever, because her cosmetics are probably still selling. She's probably still getting her some YouTube videos here and there, even though she's been off for a year, especially as, you know, she's been on Red Table Talk. I'm sure she's going to get a bunch of views from that. But between her cosmetics line and her father's company, that I'm sure is not all of a sudden bankrupt, and whatever, you know, remnants of money that she's getting from YouTube videos, I think that they are probably going to be just fine, really. And whatever I was thinking in terms of, okay, well, your parents paid this bunch of money, you lost all of these deals, and you lost YouTube income. Yeah, it probably is substantial. But, and then, well, in addition to that, they also were paying all of these lawyers while they were trying to fight the case. So, you know, maybe they need money for that. But I think that, especially given her demeanor seemed to be the same in her YouTube videos as it was on the Red Table Talk. And there was not really any hint, the faintest whiff of desperation in terms of, I really need to make money and I really, really need to get back on the horse because I really need something now. But I still kind of feel that she was saying that her sister is a lot more laid back than she is. And maybe as a proactive, I presume, older sister, that she is thinking, yeah, my sister's laid back, but maybe I need to take charge of family finances and do a little bit better and whatever else. But still, a mother probably doesn't have anything right now, but is pretty likely to get grabbed up, just like the lady from Desperate Housewives, when sufficient time has passed, because as people can often say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So people, you know, in an era of shows like, you know, not Desperate Housewives, the Real Housewives of this and that, controversy is not necessarily something that might kill your career. So I'm a little bit leaning off of the idea that did suddenly come up in my head about her being potentially in a financial bind, as one might say. But anyway, those are my thoughts. If any of you have sources that might suggest otherwise in terms of one concept, theory, or another, or you just have your opinion, feel free to give it to me. I'm kind of interested in the topic for a short period of time, I think. But yeah, so anyway, you can like, unlike, comment, as I said. Subscribe, share, or none of that. But probably, hopefully, you can do what you would want other people, listeners, to do if this were your production. Have a good one. Peace.